everybody, ladies and gentlemen, the Flavor Goddess is here once again. Had a very busy day today. Was making some home goodies for my friends for the holidays. Made some infused oils with rosemary and oregano. Really good scents. They're infused. They can use it to cook, and the recipes for chocolate chip M&M cookies. Everything's there, good to go. So we worked out today. Now I'm ready to meal prep. It's a short week, so I'm not doing that much for the holiday. So here I washed a couple of sweet potatoes and I put them on a baking sheet. I put a little bit of foil, makes cleanup easier. And I'm gonna bake this for about 40 minutes at 375. This is an acorn squash. See, it comes like that I cut in half. And then you're gonna scoop out the seeds and just kind of get rid of that because you don't want that. Put it right on the baking sheet. Scoop it out. Put it right there. So that's 1, 2, 3, and just ready to go into the oven just like that. So I'll throw that in there first since it takes a while to cook. Okay. This isn't the safest thing, but I'm skilled. All right, so I'll push that back a little bit. It's all right, I'm gonna put the timer for that to go for about 40 minutes. Don't wanna forget it, because when they pop and they get too soft, the taste changes. So now what else I'm gonna do is cut the ends. These are sweet plantains. I'm making a sweet plantain and ground beef dish. So I'm just gonna cut the edges off the sweet plantains, and these I'm gonna mush after I boil them, so I wanted them very ripe. So what I do is I cut the ends off at an angle, and then I slice at an angle like that. All right, sometimes if it's a little too soft, it won't do it. So the reason you cut it at this angle here is so that later when you want to peel it, it's easy. It's gonna pop right out of the skin. Gonna throw these into some water I have boiling over here. Those are gonna boil for about 20 minutes. Sorry. So this was a total of 4. Sweet plantain. So that's gonna boil for about 20 minutes. What else I'm going to have, this is just to catch the garbage, is some ground beef. So I'm gonna take this, I put a little bit of sea salt in it. I'm gonna put some fresh oregano. Just, you don't want the stems, you just kind of slide the leaves off like that. And then I'm going to put in some peppers, scallions, fresh minced garlic. Oops. Okay, so put that to the side. So this I'm just gonna saute up. I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic powder to it. A little bit of black pepper. These are my everyday seasonings. We try to stay away from salt, so we use a lot of the Mrs. Dash products and the everyday seasoning again. So this I'm kind of gonna, you know what, let me use a spoon and mush that up together. You can use your hands too, of course. So once you get that kind of worked in, I have a little skillet with a little bit of olive oil heating up. Then I'm gonna brown this beef in. It's gonna have a nice flavor to it. So get that going in there. So this is the ground beef that I'm gonna just cook for a few minutes until it's brown. I'm gonna bake it a little bit more afterwards once I layer it on the mashed sweet plantains. So just gonna make sure all the pink is gone. Again, that's oregano, onion, scallion, fresh garlic, some garlic powder, everyday seasoning, black pepper, and Mrs. Dash. for this pan here, I'm going to make some quinoa, right? So on the ingredients, it's organic white quinoa. On the directions for it, it says 2 cups of water. So instead of water, I use low sodium chicken broth because it gives it a nice flavor. So I'm gonna use that. Put the light on. Oh. All right, so bring that to a boil a little bit, and then I'm gonna add the quinoa later. So that's 1 cup of quinoa here. I sliced up some tomatoes because I'm gonna layer that on top of the beef. I'll show you guys what I'm gonna do with that later. So here I have some chicken breast that I'm gonna make, some organic chicken breast. So what I do, this is fresh thyme. I slide the little leaves off. Gives it a nice flavor, earthy flavor. So to get them off, you just kind of slide in the opposite direction of the way it grows, and that gets all of the little leaves off. Put some garlic powder. I love garlic. Again, with the everyday seasoning, I really do use it every day. Kind of goes with everything. Get some nice flavor. Mrs. Dash. Some black pepper again. And I had washed and dried these chicken breasts, and then I squeezed some fresh lemon juice on them. Just from growing up, that's what my mom used to do, so I'm just in the habit of always cleaning my meats with lemon. Kind of stir that around, get the seasoning distributed. Then, you know, I'm just gonna, so I'm mixing up all the seasonings here so it's evenly distributed on the chicken. I'm not gonna cook it with the lemon. Then I have a little bit of the infused oils I had made. Of course, I sampled the products. And I'm going to use the rosemary and oregano infused oil to impart even more flavor to the chicken breast. So, pan's a little crowded. So I'm gonna raise the fire a little bit on that. Check on the ground beef, it's browning over here. See the flavors are getting in there and everything. Let that cook. The sweet plantains are boiling. I'm bringing my organic low sodium chicken broth to a boil so I can add the cup of quinoa. They actually say you don't have to let it come to a boil, so I'm just gonna pour it in now. I've done it both ways. So what I do is I give it a nice little stir. Just to make sure everything's moist. Then we're gonna let these things cook up a little bit and come back. Oh, one more thing. So just in case like there's not time for a meal, you want to grab something to go, I always make something that's just quick to eat. So I made some tuna. This is 3 cans of half salt tuna that was in water. Drained it, put a little bit of organic mayo, some onion, some scallion, some relish, a tablespoon, and these are egg whites. So I boiled them, got rid of the yolk, just kind of mashed them up with a spoon and throw them in there. It adds protein, makes it last longer. Win-win, adds flavor. Just mix that up. As you can see, it's not wet. It doesn't have a lot of mayo in it. And that's something to just have in a Tupperware in the fridge when you want a snack, so it's high protein and nothing crazy, you know? All right. So in a few minutes, these are gonna be ready and we'll come back and show you what the next phase is. Chicken breasts, ground beef, sweet plantains, quinoa, sweet potatoes, baking, and acorn squash. We'll be right back. Hi, we're back. So here the chicken breast was cooking. It's pretty much done. I'm gonna add some garlic. You don't want to cook garlic too long because it gets a bitter taste. I just squeeze that right in with the garlic press and distribute that. Just let that kind of dry out a little bit. And then I'm going to make a little bit of a sauce with chicken broth and some tomatoes. That's some fresh thyme there. Here we have the quinoa, which is cooked up now. So that's good. Turn off the fire. So now last thing, going to drain these sweet plantains. So I had them boiling. Remember, I had cut the tips off, then I sliced them. Now I'm going to drain them. Okay. So you see how when I had cut the skin comes right off. And I'm going to, let me just bring this plate over here. So I'm going to put this right on the plate so I can carry this over to the island. So I'm going to take these out. They're nice and soft. They're ready for me to bake. So that's the sweet potatoes. So I'm going to, I have a very high tolerance for heat. So I'm going to get all of these into this bowl, and I'm going to mash it up with this fork. Comes right out of the skin when you slice it. If you don't slice it, you're going to have a hard time. So always remember that. I think we have one more. So there you go. Get rid of this. So I'm going to mash this up. 1, 2, 3. This is such a nice, hearty recipe, and it heats up very well. You can have it for breakfast, for lunch. We usually have something like this with egg whites. So I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on here, just so it doesn't. Okay, so I put a little bit of olive oil on here just so it doesn't stick. Just brushing it, very fine layer. Put that over there. Then I'm just going to spoon this right on. This is kind of hot. A normal person would have used gloves. Like I said, I have a high tolerance for the heat. So I'm just going to smush this out to like, maybe like a 1/2 inch layer. Doesn't have to be any particular shape. You can make it round, squarish. Just want like a nice even layer. The key is to have it even. So I just do that. And then the beef I had browning over here, just layer that right on top. So it adds, the juices are going in, adds a really nice flavor. So this pan is amazing. Nothing sticks to it. So spread that out. You want to spread that out. Then you're going to add some tomatoes, like evenly around, space it. Oops, that's okay. Kind of just make it a little flavorful. And there you go. Just pop that right in the oven. You want to put a little bit of pepper on top of this. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. Then here, my sweet potatoes are ready to come out. Slide that right over here. And then this is ready to go in. This is gonna bake at 375 for maybe about 15 minutes. Put the timer on so you don't forget. We get busy. 10, 15, about 20 minutes. And that's it. So that's called pastelón. I didn't even know it was a thing. I thought I created it. So again, that's just a layered sweet plantains with the ground beef, some tomatoes. Gonna mash these up now. The sweet potatoes, bring them over here. They're gonna pop right out of the skin. I'm gonna wash this out, mash them in there, add a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, pumpkin pie spice, and done. Also, just want to show you real quick, the chicken breasts are all cooked. Still juicy, a little bit of color to them, lots of seasoning from the herbs. That's why we don't use much salt, we use a lot of fresh herbs. All right, thank you everybody. Hope you learned something. This was a meal prep for the week. It was kind of short because it's a short week. Bye. So here's the finished product for the meal prep. This is the pastelón that I made, the mashed sweet plantains that I baked with the ground beef and the tomato. So I'm gonna cut pieces when it cools off a little bit. This is the arugula all prepped for the morning salad. And he's gonna make the veggie egg whites in the morning, and we're gonna have a piece of that with breakfast. These are the lunches. That's the chicken breast. I have sweet potato. He has quinoa, baby spinach. This is what's left over and prep for the week. So there's more quinoa for him, more sweet potatoes for me. There's a corn squash. I put a little bit of pumpkin pie spice. And this is the leftover chicken breast. And again, we have the tuna. These are the little gifts, like I said, I made for our friends. The chocolate chip cookies in a jar. And these are the infused oils. The rosemary oil. I put it in a bigger bottle just so they can have more. It's good for dipping, for baking, for sauteing. So I put these in here because I'm going to put these outside on the porch just because they're supposed to be refrigerated infused oils until I'm ready to give them. So that's pretty much it. This leaves me with no work to do up until Christmas dinner. So, and more time to work out. All right, so the Flavor God is here. Hope to see you soon and hope you learned something. Bye.